What do you think about when Karl Malone gets included on teams like this?
I like it. I mean, I think he's top 20.
He got a 13-year-old pregnant. Timeout? You need a timeout? A 30-second?
Patrick Beverly thought he had Karl Malone figured out. Hall of Famer, all-time great, top 20 players in NBA history. Then he learned the truth and everything changed. Victor Wembanyama didn't say a word. He didn't have to. One silent repost sent shockwaves across the basketball world. NBA legends are finally being held accountable, and Karl Malone's carefully protected image is crumbling in real time. This is the story the league never wanted you to hear. The NBA thought it was just another birthday post. July 24th, 2025. Their official history account sends out a happy 60-second birthday message to Karl Malone. Standard procedure. Routine celebration of a two-time MVP. But the comment section? Absolute chaos. Over 2,000 replies flooded in, and almost none of them were kind. What should have been a simple celebration turned into a public execution. Fans weren't having it. They came with receipts. They came with anger. They came with decades of suppressed rage. And they weren't backing down. The NBA social media team had no idea what they just unleashed. Then Victor Wembanyama stepped into the fire. The 21-year-old French phenom didn't write an essay. He didn't give a speech. He didn't post some carefully crafted PR statement. He just hit repost on a fan-made video. The clip showed Lil Rodney's son absolutely losing it over the NBA's tribute to Malone. Furious, disgusted, demanding justice.
What? Oh no, see, that's what we not better do. Police, lock his ass up. Yes, you need to be under the jail. Like what? What you say? Yeah, arrest him immediately.
Wembanyama added no caption, no emoji, no explanation, just the video, raw and unfiltered. And that silence, it screamed louder than any statement ever could. Sometimes what you don't say matters more than what you do. The internet understood immediately. Wembanyama wasn't celebrating Malone, he was condemning him. People couldn't believe it. A kid from France, barely old enough to drink in America, playing his second season in the NBA. And he knew. He knew what Karl Malone did. He knew the dark history that the league tried to bury. The message was crystal clear. Co-signing the outrage. Co-signing the call for accountability. Some even interpreted it as wishing Malone was behind bars. The boldness was stunning. The courage was undeniable. Spurs fans, they were loving every second of it. They remembered Malone throwing elbows at David Robinson. They remembered the cheap shots in the Western Conference Finals. They remembered how he played dirty against their beloved franchise player. And now their franchise centerpiece, the future of their organization, was calling him out on a global stage. Poetic justice doesn't even begin to describe it. Whether Wembanyama knew that San Antonio history or not, whether someone on the Spurs told him or he discovered it himself, the moment felt absolutely destined. Like the basketball gods were finally balancing the scales. But let's get to the core of why Karl Malone's name triggers this level of disgust. Why his birthday became a day of reckoning instead of celebration. 1983, Louisiana Tech. Karl Malone was 20 years old, a college athlete with NBA dreams. Gloria Bell was 13 years old, still a child. Malone got her pregnant. Let that sink in for a moment. The age of consent in Louisiana? 17. This wasn't some gray area. This wasn't a complicated legal situation. This was statutory rape, clear as day. A charge could have been filed, should have been filed, but it never was. Gloria Bell's family made a decision that would haunt the narrative for decades. They didn't press charges. Why? Because they were worried about destroying Karl Malone's future, his basketball career, his earning potential, his draft prospects, child support down the line. They thought about the money he could make, the life he could provide financially. So they stayed silent. They let it go, and Malone walked away clean. No criminal record, no consequences. Just a free pass to the NBA and eventually to superstardom. That child grew up to be Demetrius Bell, NFL offensive lineman, drafted by the Buffalo Bills in 2008. Talented athlete in his own right, successful by any measure, but emotionally scarred in ways that statistics can never capture. He grew up without a father. He tried reaching out to Malone multiple times over the years, wanted some kind of relationship, some acknowledgement, some connection. Malone's response: it's too late for that. Too late. As if there's an expiration date on being a parent. Demetrius later described the relationship like his dad was nothing more than a sperm bank. No connection, no love, no guidance, just DNA DNA. The pain in those words is unbearable. The rejection is absolute. Fast forward to 2023. The story resurfaces. Social media brings it back to life. People start asking questions, demanding answers, wanting accountability. Karl Malone refuses to discuss it, won't address it, won't acknowledge it. No apology, no remorse, no accountability, just silence and dismissal. The same playbook he's always used. Ignore it and it'll go away. Except this time it didn't. The arrogance is breathtaking. So when Wembanyama made that repost, the internet erupted in support. Reddit threads praising his courage, thousands of upvotes, comments calling him a hero for using his platform, Twitter blowing up with memes and applause. People were shocked that someone with so much to lose would take such a public stand. Sure, there were critics. People telling him to shut up and focus on basketball. Stay in your lane. You're just a player. But those voices got drowned out fast. The approval was overwhelming. The support was massive. This is the generational shift happening in real time, right before our eyes. Younger players aren't accepting the whitewashed version of history anymore. They're not letting the old guard control the narrative. Statues and plaques and Hall of Fame speeches don't mean what they used to. Not when the truth is this ugly. Not when the crimes are this serious. Which brings us to Patrick Beverly, Pat Bev, known for being one of the realest voices in basketball. Unfiltered, unapologetic, never afraid to speak his mind. He launches his podcast with Barstool's Roan, and during one episode, they do a hypothetical all-time NBA draft, the kind of debate basketball fans have all the time. Beverly picks Karl Malone, ranks him top 20 all time, maybe even top 15, based purely on basketball, the stats, the consistency, the longevity, 2 MVP awards, second all time in scoring at the time of his retirement, over 36,000 points, 14 all-star selections. On paper, it made perfect sense. Malone was an absolute force. Then his co-host asked the question that changes everything, the question that exposes how little even NBA players know about the league's hidden history. Do off-court issues matter? Simple question. Massive implications. Beverly pauses, thinks about it, admits he doesn't really know much about Malone's personal life, never looked into it, never heard the stories, and that's when the details come out, right there on the podcast.
What do you think about when Karl Malone gets included on teams like this?
I like it. I mean, I think he's top 20 greatest players to play.
You think Karl Malone is? But what about his off the court stuff? You know, does that factor in it at all?
I really don't know a lot of off the court stuff about Karl.
He got a 13-year-old pregnant. Timeout? You need a timeout? A 30-second?
No, fool.
Well,
I need a full timeout.
The 1983 incident, the 13-year-old girl, the abandoned son, the refusal to take responsibility. Beverly's face drops. You can see it happening in real time. The realization, the horror, the disgust. He calls timeout on his own show, just sits there in stunned silence, processing what he just heard.
You wait a second. I have a question.
talk to me.
When you said 13-year-old pregnant, was he 16?
I think it was a grown-up. Let's check. He was 20, and he got a 13-year-old pregnant. That doesn't seem cool to me.
Wow. I didn't.
The kid did go on to go to the I think the NFL. Demetrius Bell was his name, but I don't think Karl Malone was in his life at all, and he said he treats it like his mom went to the sperm bank.
You can see the gears turning, the mental adjustment, the moral reckoning. He looks physically sick. The clip goes viral instantly, millions of views in hours. Fans went wild. They called it the most likable Pat Bev moment ever. Finally, someone being real, someone admitting they didn't know, someone changing their mind when presented with the facts. Lou Williams shared the clip. Other players reposted it. People praised his authenticity, his willingness to admit he didn't know, his genuine shock at learning the truth. It was real. It was raw. It was human. And it was exactly what people needed to see. No deflection, no excuses, just honest reaction. But here's the irony that cuts deep, the irony that exposes the system. Victor Wembanyama, a 21-year-old from France, knew about Karl Malone's past. Patrick Beverly, a guy who played in the NBA for over a decade, had no idea. How does does that happen? How does a foreign rookie know more than a veteran American player? Because the NBA knew, the Utah Jazz knew, the media knew, sports writers knew, coaches knew, executives knew, and they all chose to celebrate Malone anyway. They protected him, they elevated him, they built his legend while burying his crimes. They let the world forget, or tried to. The hypocrisy is staggering. The league loves to talk about values, about character, about community, about doing the right thing. They suspend players for social media posts. They fine them for criticizing refs. They lecture them about representing the brand. But when it comes to their legends, their Hall of Famers, their revenue generators, selective memory, convenient amnesia, as long as you put up numbers, as long as you sell tickets, the rest gets buried, swept under the rug, erased from the official narrative. But Malone's misconduct doesn't stop with statutory rape. His pattern of behavior extends far beyond that one horrific incident. Let's talk about the 2003 to 2004 Lakers. The super team, Shaq, Kobe, Gary Payton, and Karl Malone. It was supposed to be the ultimate championship run. 4 future Hall of Famers in their prime, or near it. The basketball world was watching. At first, Malone and Kobe were close, brothers in arms. Their families hung out together.
Any way to mend your relationship with Karl? I mean, some time has gone by. Is there any way that you can see to mend this problem?
No, not on a personal relationship. I mean, when all that stuff happened, I mean, we kept our mouths shut. It is what it is. I mean, you let him and his family deal with that situation or whatever.
Dinners and events. Malone played the mentor role, teaching him the tricks of longevity. Everything seemed fine, respectful, professional. Then came the Staples Center incident. Malone was sidelined with an injury, sitting courtside at a Lakers game. Vanessa Bryant, Kobe's wife, was there too. And according to multiple reports from people close to the situation, Karl Malone made her deeply uncomfortable. Multiple inappropriate comments throughout the night, unwanted attention, boundary violations, the kind of behavior that makes your skin crawl. Here's where it gets disturbing. One version of the story claims Malone invited Vanessa to hug him, said it would get them in magazines, create buzz. She declined, clearly uncomfortable. His response? Oh, like your daddy, mocking her, dismissing her boundaries. The other version, even worse, allegedly told her he was hunting little Mexican girls. A comment so disgusting, so racist, so predatory that it defies comprehension. Vanessa was disgusted, furious, violated. This wasn't harmless flirting. This was predatory behavior from a man old enough to be her father. She told Kobe immediately, got home and told him everything, and Kobe lost it, absolutely lost it. He called Karl Malone in a rage, screaming at him, stay away from my wife. The betrayal was total, complete. This was a man he trusted, a man he welcomed into his family, a man he defended in the locker room, and this is what he did. This is how he repaid that trust. Kobe didn't keep it quiet either. He talked about it publicly, in interviews, called Malone out for the betrayal, made sure people knew what happened. Malone, of course, denied any bad intent, tried to play it off, called the whole situation a Hollywood soap opera, like it was some manufactured drama for ratings, like Vanessa was being dramatic, but the relationship, done, permanently destroyed. They never spoke again, not during the finals run, not after, never. And the on-court behavior, just as bad, just as revealing. Dominique Wilkins didn't hold back when he talked about Karl Malone, one of the greatest small forwards ever, a competitor who respected the game. He called him out directly. No sugarcoating, no political correctness. Wilkins called Malone a cheap shot artist, said he had no respect for him as a player or a person, compared him to Buck Williams, a physical player who competed hard but clean. Malone, not even in the same category, not even close. The evidence backs it up. Malone elbowed Isaiah Thomas so hard it took 40 stitches to close the wound. 40 stitches. Blood everywhere. Knocked out David Robinson with a deliberate elbow to the head. Injured Steve Nash with reckless, dangerous play that could have ended his career. He racked up fines. He got suspended multiple times, when really, he was just dirty. Even an NBA owner had enough. Leslie Alexander, owner of the Houston Rockets, publicly called out Karl Malone in 2004 during a playoff series. An owner calling out a player, that almost never happens. Malone was targeting Yao Ming, the young Chinese star, the face of basketball in Asia, bullying him, playing dangerously physical, trying to intimidate him with cheap shots and hard fouls. Game 4 was the breaking point. Malone knocked Yao down hard, stood over him, then undercut John Nakbar on another play. Dangerous closeout that could have caused serious injury, and then wore his ripped jersey like a badge of honor, strutting around like it proved something, like being dirty made him tough. Alexander went public, called Malone's behavior wrong, dangerous, bad for the league, bad for the game, said he should be suspended, an owner calling out a Hall of Famer during the playoffs. That's how bad it was. That's how blatant the misconduct. Malone's response? He mocked Alexander, publicly dismissed him, showed complete indifference to the criticism, laughed it off, no accountability, no remorse, just arrogance. The same pattern repeating itself. That Lakers team lost the finals to Detroit. Malone retired without a ring, and the pattern became impossible to ignore. Denial, arrogance, deflection, the uncomfortable truth the NBA doesn't want you to know. The NBA knew who Karl Malone was. They knew what he did. They knew about the 13-year-old. They knew about the abandoned son. They knew about Vanessa. They knew about the dirty play, and they celebrated him anyway. 2 MVP awards, statues outside arenas, Hall of Fame induction with a standing ovation, all while the truth sat in plain sight. A pattern of abuse, a pattern of denial, a pattern of contempt for anyone who challenged him. This is Karl Malone's real legacy, and no amount of points scored or awards won will ever erase the damage he caused, the lives he destroyed, the trust he violated. The basketball world is finally waking up. Players like Wembanyama and Beverly are leading the charge, and it's about time. If this opened your eyes, hit that subscribe button, drop a comment below. Let's keep holding these legends accountable, because the truth matters more than the stats ever will.